Mention revenue attribution to anybody who's been through it, and you're likely to get a response something like this. Why is it so painful? They don't know how to do it, they don't have the data to support it, they don't have the tool, or maybe they do have the tool but they haven't mastered it yet. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So let's take a deep breath, find our happy place, and let's see if we can't demystify revenue attribution. Well, first of all, what the heck is revenue attribution? Well, simply, it's the practice of assigning revenue dollars across one, several, or all of the various marketing touchpoints that occur during the customer's purchase journey. Now, notice I say the practice of, because as most of you know that who have actually tried it, this is easier said than done. So let's take a look at an example here. Here's Bob, and Bob needs a solution. So he attends a trade show in which we collect his email address. Later on, we send Bob an email invitation to attend a webinar, which Bob actually attends. After that, sales is notified, they get a hold of Bob, they make the deal, and it ends up a closed one for the amount of $6,000 in revenue. Now, there's several ways to attribute revenue here. Let's take a look at some of the more common ones. The first touch gets all the revenue. About 20% of our clients do it this way. Another method is the last touch gets all the revenue. About 50% of our clients do it this way. Another approach is where you evenly split the revenue across all the touches. Again, about 20% of our clients do it this way. And finally, there is some customized version of this where you split the percentages in a customized way. In this case, you see that it's 40% in the front and the back, and then all of the middle touches are spread evenly. About 10% of our clients end up doing it this way. So the challenge is this really how people buy? Is it really this linear? I wish. The reality is that people buy in stages. Typically, they find you, that's very often the first stage, right? You get discovered, and then they research you to make sure that you're credible and worthy of getting on the short list. Once you are, then they want to compare you to the competition, and then finally at the end of the day, hopefully we get a sale out of it. Now, the methods in which they do all this is through various channels, through the media that you own, through the referrals that you earn, and through the referrals that you purchase. So it might look something like this. How Leeds finds you in media you own, obviously a trade show, maybe your LinkedIn page, blogs, that kind of thing. Maybe you're getting likes from blogs that you've done, and that's how people are finding you, or from LinkedIn groups. And of course, referrals you purchase include pay-per-click. How people are researching you could be your website for your own media. Obviously it could be likes and social media for referrals, and once again, maybe it's Google and Facebook pay-per-click. How they compare you could be videos, could be ROI calculators, could be white papers, could be a number of things that people use across all of three of these media channels. And then finally, we get to, hopefully at the end of the day, a sold. So a buyer's journey might look like this. You see it's very disjointed, they're going all over through all the different various medias. Finally, at the end of the sales cycle, we get a closed one out of it. As if this weren't challenging enough, the other challenge we have is that they're doing this by different devices. Obviously laptop, cell phones, and of course iPads. So how in the heck are we supposed to attribute revenue in the real world? How are we supposed to measure which channels work and which don't, separately and collectively? Well, there's the rub. So let's see if we can identify some solutions here. Based on a very recent survey by Eloqua, the reality is that only a small percentage are even trying. You see down here, revenue performance. This is one of the fewest reports that people look at. So this is tough, right? This is very, very tough. There's no question about it. So you could hire a witch doctor. That might work. You could actually just say forget the whole thing and revert back to standard metrics. Or we can try and understand the goals in tracking revenue attribution and go from there. So let's proceed based on this possibility. So why in the heck do people even want revenue attribution? Well, C-level wants it because they want some top-line marketing accountability. They also want to make sure they can justify budget allocation. Marketers want it because they want the same thing. They want to justify an optimized marketing budget. They also want to be able to prioritize the most effective media spend, understand how channel relationships work by stage and by device. So how are people managing it today? Well, according to a recent survey, 32% are leveraging good old Excel spreadsheets, about 24% have some sort of custom solution, 25% are using some sort of outside vendor technology, 17% totally outsource it. So with all of these various solutions, how are clients feeling about their own success? Unfortunately, no matter which tool or method you're using, the results currently are about the same, only somewhat effective. So the reason most clients aren't even bothering is because, frankly, it's just not a marketing priority. Or it is, and they're just unsure which attribution method to pick. Or maybe they haven't found or mastered the right tools. A common one is they don't have the data, or they don't have the resources, or both. So very complex problem, even more complex methods of managing it. At the end of the day, is there a silver bullet here? Well, not really. Revenue attribution is frankly very complicated. The people that do it well have had to endure a lot of trial and error, a lot of patience, tried to master the ever-evolving tools that are available, and really only through experience came out with some success. So what does work? Well, companies with the most success use three tools: CRM, marketing automation, Excel spreadsheet. So here's what typically happens. CRM plus marketing automation equals success. Here's our CRM tool, and for the rest of this presentation, I'm going to assume that CRM tool is Salesforce, and I'm also going to assume that the marketing automation platform is Eloqua. CRM gives you the return, and of course, Eloqua, the marketing automation tool, gives you the investment. You need both. Number one, realize that revenue attribution is completely arbitrary, so don't spin yourself in trying to calculate accurate asset attribution percentages. You know, maybe trade shoes are really 40% of total, maybe emails only count for 5%, events 15%. I mean, you could literally spin yourself in trying to figure all this out. So we recommend don't even bother initially. What we really want to do is apply even attribution across all of the touches initially. Why do we want to do that? Because number one, it gives you insight into which asset types are producing revenue and which are not on a broad level. So here we have year-to-date revenue by marketing asset type. Trade shows producing 47.5, emails 289.5, and you see all the way across the board. So now we can start to get a picture of what's working, which channel is really producing the most ROI. And in this case, we see that it's email, webinar, and of course, videos. The other thing that we can do is we can get an initial determination of whether ineffective assets are the wrong asset altogether or just delivered at the wrong stage. Now, you must have Eloqua Team or Enterprise in order to attribute revenue across all touches. If you have Eloqua Express, then you can only attribute revenue to the first touch only. Salesforce links campaigns and opportunities directly, while Eloqua uses contacts as the middleman between campaigns and opportunities. So this is where we run into some challenges because it's essential for sales to totally understand how the campaign process works and why it's absolutely critical to assign the contacts who responded to the campaign, to the opportunity, rather than just the legal contact, for example. Really, really important. We see the wheel fall off the bus a lot because sales just isn't attaching the right contact to the right opportunity. The reality is that Salesforce revenue will rarely match Eloqua revenue. So, you need to choose which tool you're going to use for your revenue reporting and stick with it. You can't switch back and forth. Okay, so we have a pretty good understanding of how to start, but what about that slide I showed earlier with all those social media touches? How in the heck do we attribute revenue there? Well, the big challenge is associating unknown social identities to known email addresses. That's a tough one. Cloud connectors and referral tracking can help. We've actually leveraged cloud connectors to convert campaign response lists of any kind, whether it was a banner ad or a trade show or webinar attendees or SMS or whatever, into actual campaign responses via blind form submits. So if you want any details about how we do it, I'm happy to help and show you how to do it. The next step is to start small. It's going to be a crawl, walk, run no matter what. Make sure you have the right seats in the bus for success here. So make sure that you assemble the correct team. And by all means, feel free to get some help. Astadia, for example, is a consulting firm that's been an Elqua partner since 2004 and a Salesforce partner since 2001. We know both sides of the fence cold and have helped hundreds of clients through this. Feel free to give us a call and we can help you get started on your road to revenue attribution.